Over the past 3 years, U.S. rents posted the fastest climb in modern history. From Miami to Seattle, landlords became the new economic elite, jacking up prices hundreds of dollars overnight, and renters had no choice but to pay. But in 2025, that power is crumbling. Cities that once sparked bidding wars are now drowning in vacant apartments. For the first time in a decade, rents are dropping fast. Developers built too much, investors borrowed too heavily, and the renters they were counting on have hit their limit. In some metro areas, prices are plummeting by double digits, with deals, discounts, and free months making a comeback. Landlords are panicking, renters are bailing, and the balance of power in America's housing market is shifting once again. Number 10. Austin, Texas. Austin's rise was legendary, its fall just as stunning. Between 2020 and 2023, this Texas capital became the crown jewel of America's tech migration, drawing remote workers, venture capital, and billion-dollar startups fleeing the coasts. The city called itself the New Silicon Valley, with cranes dotting downtown and luxury apartments shooting up everywhere as landlords raised rents faster than demand could keep up. But by 2025, the boom came to a screeching halt. Average rents are down 14% year over year, the steepest drop in the entire Sunbelt. Thousands of sleek apartments built during the frenzy now sit half-empty, their rooftop pools echoing with silence. Developers who once boasted 12-month waiting lists are now offering desperate deals. 3 months free, waived deposits, even concert tickets thrown in. The reason? The tech bubble burst. Giants like Meta, Oracle, and Tesla slashed jobs, gutting Austin's high-income renter base. Once dubbed Silicon Hills, the nickname now feels like a cruel joke. Downtown towers like the Independent and 70 Rainey are seeing vacancy rates hit decade highs. East Austin, once the beating heart of the city's creative renaissance, has landlords slashing prices just to compete. For those who leveraged heavily, landlords who bought luxury condos at record prices betting on endless growth, the profits have vanished. High-interest loans and disappearing tenants are making returns evaporate. But for renters, it's the reversal they've been waiting for. A city that became unaffordable overnight is finally cracking, handing power back to the people who keep it running. Number 9. Miami, Florida. Miami's rental boom wasn't just big, it was blinding. Fueled by pandemic escapees, crypto wealth, and global investors chasing sun-soaked status, the city became a playground for billionaires and remote workers alike. Between 2020 and 2022, rents exploded by over 60%, driving out locals and turning every downtown high-rise into a symbol of excess. But by 2025, the shine has worn off and the crash is obvious. Average rents are down 11% from last year, with vacancy rates spiking across Brickell, downtown, and Miami Beach. Luxury towers that once touted ocean views and infinity pools are now advertising free parking, zero deposits, and even $2,000 gift cards just to fill units. It's not just demand dropping, it's costs rising. Insurance premiums have tripled, leaving many landlords underwater. HOA fees are skyrocketing as buildings scramble to meet new safety regulations following Florida's condo collapse. The result? Thousands of investors bleeding money every month. For some, it's already over. Condos once worth $900,000 are selling for $700,000 or not selling at all. Airbnb hosts who thrived on vacation demand are abandoning the market as tourism softens and maintenance costs crush profits. Even foreign investors, long Miami's financial lifeline, are retreating, spooked by the city's escalating storm risk and endless special assessments. From above, it still looks dazzling, turquoise water, skyline glittering in the sun. But beneath the glamour, the financial math is falling apart. In 2025, Miami is becoming a cautionary tale of overconfidence. Number 8. Atlanta, Georgia. Atlanta was supposed to be different. The city that had it all: a booming job market, affordable housing, waves of migration from both coasts, made it the safe bet of the South. Developers flooded in, pouring billions into new apartments from Midtown to Sandy Springs. Between 2021 and 2024, over 50,000 new units hit the market, a number the city simply couldn't absorb. By 2025, boom turned to bust. Rents are down 9% year over year, vacancy rates are climbing, and developers are panicking. High-rises that once filled overnight now sit half-empty. Landlords are offering 3 months free rent, complimentary parking, and zero deposits, anything to lure tenants back. But the problem runs deeper than oversupply. Wage growth has stalled, inflation is eating away at household budgets, and student loan payments are draining young renters dry. Millennial and Gen Z tenants are doubling up, moving back home, or leaving the metro area entirely. Even Atlanta's once bulletproof suburbs, Cobb, Gwinnett, and Henry County, are softening. Single-family rentals are sitting vacant as short-term investors slash prices to stop the bleeding. For years, Atlanta was called the future of affordable growth. Now it's becoming a symbol of imbalance, a city where the cranes never stopped, even as demand disappeared. The truth is, Atlanta's rental market didn't collapse overnight. It's suffocating slowly. Developers built luxury over affordability. Landlords assumed tenants would always pay more. When that assumption shattered, so did the city's momentum. Number 7. Las Vegas, Nevada. Las Vegas has always been a city of winners and losers, and right now, landlords are standing on the losing side of the bet. For years, Vegas looked unstoppable. Thousands of new residents flooded in from California, chasing lower costs and brighter prospects. Investors snatched up properties, short-term rentals exploded, and everyone assumed the good times would last forever. But by 2025, the dice have gone cold. Rents are down nearly 10% since 2023, and vacancy rates have doubled. Entire apartment complexes in Henderson and Summerlin now sit half-empty. The glittering skyline still shines, but beneath it lurks a sobering truth. Supply has far outpaced demand. Tourism, the city's economic heartbeat, still hasn't fully recovered. Casino hiring is down, conventions are smaller, and tips aren't what they used to be. Meanwhile, thousands of Airbnbs that once catered to weekend visitors are flooding the long-term rental market as hosts scramble to recoup profits. Houses that once rented for $2,400 are now sitting at $1,900 with no takers. Landlords who bought during the pandemic boom are slashing prices just to survive. Many investors who bet on quick returns are quietly exiting, selling below purchase price to avoid deeper losses. Yet overbuilding continues. Developers are finishing projects started at the peak of optimism, flooding the market with more luxury units nobody asked for. In 2025, Vegas feels eerily familiar, like 2008 all over again. Different decade, same gamble. Too much speculation, too little sustainability. The bright lights are still on, but behind the scenes, the city of opportunity is finding out what happens when the odds finally turn. Number 6. Phoenix, Arizona. Phoenix, the blazing heart of the Sunbelt boom, is cooling faster than anyone expected. Just 2 years ago, it was the poster child of migration and growth. Thousands of families poured in from California and the Midwest, driving record construction and rent increases. Developers couldn't build fast enough. Brand new subdivisions in Chandler, Glendale, and Mesa appeared overnight, promising prosperity and stability. But by 2025, that optimism has melted into oversupply. Over 30,000 new units hit the market in just 12 months, and demand simply isn't there. Average rents have tanked 12%, with landlords pulling out every trick to attract tenants. Free months, move-in furnished, even prepaid utilities. Apartment complexes that once had waiting lists are now begging for occupants. The skyline looks vibrant, but financially it's on life support. Insurance and maintenance costs are skyrocketing. Investors who bought luxury new builds at pandemic peaks are losing money, owing more than the properties are worth. It's not just renters feeling the squeeze. Phoenix's job market is tightening. High interest rates and slowing migration have frozen business expansion, leaving fewer people to fill the city's endless new housing. From downtown Phoenix to the far eastern reaches of the valley, landlords are learning that growth without balance always ends the same way. By 2025, Phoenix isn't just cooling, it's correcting. A city built for 10 million is now facing the reality of serving 8 million. The dream of unlimited expansion has finally hit a wall, and the fallout is just beginning. Number 5. Dallas, Texas. For years, Dallas looked invincible. Corporate relocations flooded in, young professionals packed uptown, and suburban sprawl seemed limitless. Developers and investors alike called it the economic capital of Texas, convinced it would never slow down. But in 2025, that confidence has shattered. Rents in Uptown, Plano, and Frisco are down 10%, with Class A vacancy rates now the highest in a decade. The gleaming skyline still sparkles, but landlords behind those glass towers are panicking. Why? Simple math. Developers overshot demand. Between 2021 and 2024, Dallas added tens of thousands of new apartment units right as renters started tightening their belts. Inflation crushed discretionary income, interest rates stayed sky-high, and potential tenants either moved back home or doubled up. Landlords are scrambling to offer free utilities, covered parking, even rent credits, anything to fill empty units. Investors counting on cash flow are finding themselves underwater as rising insurance premiums and property taxes devour profits. The city once symbolizing endless prosperity is now caught in a dangerous loop. Too much luxury, not enough affordability. Even Dallas's once booming corporate sector couldn't save the market this time. Hiring freezes in tech and finance have cooled the tenant pipeline. Meanwhile, locals are being priced out of the very neighborhoods they helped build. Dallas may still look shiny on the outside, that iconic skyline glowing against the Texas night, but on the ground, the story is shifting. The city that represented unstoppable growth is now learning that even in Texas, markets can run out of gas. Number 4. Boise, Idaho. Boise was the pandemic golden child. A small mountain city that became America's housing miracle. When the world locked down, Boise opened up. Remote workers fled San Francisco, Seattle, and Portland in droves, bringing cash offers, bidding wars, and dreams of a simpler life. Home prices doubled, rents skyrocketed, and developers raced to meet what seemed like limitless demand. But by 2025, the magic is gone and the drop has begun. Rents are down 13% year over year, with vacancy rates climbing faster than anywhere else in the Mountain West. Downtown apartments that once rented in days now sit empty for months. Developers who built hundreds of sleek, high-end complexes during the boom are now drowning in inventory, desperately searching for renters who can actually afford the units. The city's tenant base, teachers, nurses, service workers, never had Silicon Valley salaries. They watched rents soar past $2,000 a month, then watched the Californians leave. Now, as the remote work wave recedes, Boise's inflated housing market is stranded. Even the suburbs, Meridian, Nampa, and Eagle, are feeling the sting. Builders have paused mid-construction projects, materials sitting idle, and investors who dreamed of endless profits are liquidating properties at a loss. Local coffee shops and restaurants that thrived on out-of-state traffic are now cutting hours or closing entirely. Landlords are slashing prices by $300, for $100, even $500, offering free months and upgrades, but units still linger on the market. The once booming skyline feels frozen in time. Boise's story is poetic and painful. The city that became the symbol of escaping big city chaos is now the example of what happens when the escape ends and reality returns. Number 3. Seattle, Washington. For the first time in over a decade, Seattle's skyline is telling a story of uncertainty. After years of unstoppable growth, rents soaring, cranes filling the horizon, tech money driving endless housing climbs, 2025 brought a reckoning. Rents are down 10%, and towers that once symbolized prosperity now stand as monuments to vacancy. Tech layoffs at Amazon, Microsoft, and a wave of startup collapses have gutted the city's high-income renter base. Downtown buildings that once had waiting lists are now offering cash bonuses and free rent to attract tenants. In neighborhoods like Capitol Hill, South Lake Union, and Belltown, luxury apartments are advertising discounts that were once unthinkable. Even in the suburbs, Bellevue, Redmond, and Kirkland, the story is the same. Lease renewals are plummeting, tenants are leaving. Developers who bet on permanent demand are now watching units pile up. Entire projects have been delayed or abandoned, leaving half-finished structures scattered across the skyline like silent reminders of overconfidence. But the real shift isn't just economic, it's psychological. The pandemic changed everything about how people live and work. Many who once chased Seattle's prestige are now choosing smaller, more balanced lives in cheaper states. The exodus isn't massive, but it's relentless. Every family that leaves takes stability with them. For landlords, the power dynamic has flipped. Tenants are negotiating again, demanding flexible leases and lower prices. The city's glittering glass towers, once proof of innovation, now sit half-empty, reflecting the clouds that hang over their uncertain future. In 2025, Seattle's skyline still gleams through the mist, but beneath that shine lurks fragility, cracks not from earthquakes, but from economic tremors learning that even tech-fueled dreams have limits. Number 2. San Francisco, California. If any city defines the word collapse, it's San Francisco. Once the crown jewel of American innovation, the city's rental market has disintegrated into something unrecognizable. Rents are down 15% year over year, with downtown vacancy rates breaking every record. Luxury towers that once demanded $4,000 a month now sit empty at $3,000 plus incentives. The exodus of tech workers never reversed. Remote work has hardened into permanence. Downtown, once packed with startups and dreamers, has become a quiet canyon of glass. Entire blocks are now ghost corridors, dotted with "for rent" signs that have become part of the landscape. Landlords who once flaunted passive income are now begging for tenants. Property taxes, maintenance, and insurance have doubled, wiping out profits. Investors who bought at the market peak are trapped, unable to refinance without losing millions. Beyond economics is perception. No city can afford what's been lost. Concerns about crime, homelessness, and quality of life have driven away renters in waves. Many have chosen Sacramento or Austin instead, places offering space, safety, and sanity. Restaurants, boutiques, and galleries that once defined the city's charm are closing, leaving a vacuum in the culture that made San Francisco irreplaceable. Even its vaunted tech identity is fading as companies abandon headquarters for cheaper hubs. The irony is haunting. The city that set the floor for housing prices nationwide is now demonstrating how far markets can fall. San Francisco's decline isn't temporary. It's transformational, a lesson written in glass and concrete about what happens when innovation forgets sustainability. Number 1. New York City. Number 1. The empire finally showing cracks. For generations, New York City's rental market was bulletproof. No matter the economy, no matter the crisis, demand always came back. But in 2025, that myth is fading. Manhattan's average rents are down 12%, while Brooklyn and Queens are down as much as 15%. For the first time in decades, tenants have the upper hand and landlords are scrambling to adapt. Incentives are back, free rent, waived deposits, even luxury upgrades to lure tenants. Developers overbuilt between 2021 and 2023, betting that endless wealth would fill their towers. Instead, those gleaming high-rises now overlook half-empty streets. Corporate layoffs in finance, media, and tech have eroded the tenant base that drove the city's resilience. International buyers, once the secret engine of Manhattan's real estate machine, are retreating amid rising global instability and increased taxes. Even the ultra-wealthy are cutting back. Luxury rentals on Billionaires Row are being repriced down by hundreds of thousands, while mid-market building owners face brutal refinancing rates that spell devastating cash flow. For smaller landlords, whispers of foreclosure have already begun. Meanwhile, young professionals who once craved to pay any price for a Manhattan studio are fleeing to cities like Charlotte, Nashville, and Philadelphia. The culture, the pace, the chaos, it's all still there, but fewer people can afford the entry fee. New York's decline isn't dramatic, it's deliberate. A slow contraction of a city learning its limits. For the first time in living memory, even New Yorkers are admitting the unthinkable. The rental empire has finally hit its ceiling. The skyline still gleams, but beneath it lurks a new reality. One where ambition finally meets exhaustion. The city that never sleeps is pausing, if only for a moment, to catch its breath. The bottom line. Across America, a quiet revolution is unfolding. For the first time in over a decade, renters are back in control. The era of bidding wars, blind applications, and ruthless rent hikes is ending, replaced by vacant units, falling prices, and desperate landlords. But this isn't just a price correction, it's a cultural shift. Millions of Americans are questioning whether renting or even owning still makes sense. In an economy where costs rise faster than wages, developers build luxury while tenants want livability. Investors chase returns while families need stability. Now the reckoning has arrived. Some cities will recover, others will shrink. But everywhere, the lesson is the same. Housing markets don't defy gravity forever.